start off with Hector Luis Garcia and Isaac Avelar. Here's the tail of the tape. Garcia's on the A side, 13-0, but he's 30 years old already. Isaac Avelar has faced tougher competition. He's only 24, but he's got 3 professional losses, but he's a rugged fighter in there. Garcia, with the height advantage, reach is the same. Should be an interesting fight. Let's go to the ring. The official announcements, and here is Miguel Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Armory here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as Premier Boxing Champions presents an exciting night of boxing action. Once again, it is all brought to you by TGB Promotions and Warriors Boxing. We are now set for our first bout live on FS1, 8 rounds in the super featherweight division. Our 3 judges ringside are John Mariano, Tim Cheatham, and Scott Erickson. The referee in charge of the action is Charlie Fitch. And now introducing first in the red corner, wearing the white trunks with the silver trim. He weighed in at 129.5 pounds. His record stands 16 victories, 10 wins by knockout, opposite of 3 defeats. Fighting out of Aguascalientes, Mexico, presenting Isaac Canelito Avelar. And now introducing his opponent across the ring in the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with the blue and red trim. He weighed in at 129.5 pounds. His record stands unbeaten, 13 victories, 10 wins by knockout. Fighting out of Santo Domingo, República Dominicana, El Droide, Hector Luis Garcia.
Good evening, Isaac. Good evening, Hector. Gentlemen, you both know the rules. Obey my commands and protect yourself at all times. Please touch gloves now. Come on, fighting at the bell.
And closed captioning is available for tonight's telecast. If you'd like to hear the broadcast in Spanish, you can click over to simulcast on the Fox Deportes app. Brian Kenny, Lennox Lewis, Joe Goose, and Heidi Antrol with us as well. Larry Hazard, our unofficial scorer. 6 fights this evening, 3 here on FS1. And we are underway. Hector Luis Garcia and Isaac Avelar. Joe, your thoughts on the matchup? These guys have sparred together before. Your thoughts on the matchup? Now it's for real.
Well, they both have great trainers. You know, in Garcia's corner, you got Salas, and in Avelar's corner, you got Joel Casamayor, my former fighter and world champion. So you got 2 great guys there. What you got here are 2 very experienced southpaws. And I think Garcia is probably, because he's undefeated right now, he's got the momentum going. He's the bigger guy. And Avelar stepping up a little bit in weight here. And he's had, 3 out of 4 last fights he's lost. So, right now Garcia's probably the hands-on favorite. But Isaac Avelar is no pushover, for sure.
Yeah, Avelar, we've seen him, Joe. Again, he's fought Stephen Fulton as he absorbs their left hand from Garcia. And Eduardo Ramirez was a very tough fighter. Avelar normally makes a good account of himself. Just a matter of if he can go into the deep waters. But he's a formidable B-side, as they say. And kind of live in this fight, and a good test for Garcia.
And there you go.
Right hand. Throwing up the jab, and a big shot by Avelar. And down goes Garcia.
6, 7,
Beautiful counter.
Aquí.
Well, you're right about the live opponents. He really is live. He's just fought some great guys and lost to really good guys.
Comes in immediately. Avelar looking to make some hay here in the first round, already with a knockdown, and would love to finish it, get an upset win.
Avelar's showing that good hook, that good right hook, and he's having great success with it. And he's throwing it a lot, and that's what he needs to do, throw it a lot, because it's very successful for him right now.
And if you remember, what got Avelar in trouble is when he would throw that hook, he'd drop his left hand, and he got clipped against the guy who knocked him out was Ramirez, and that was because he dropped that left hand while hooking. He's doing it a little bit here, but he better be careful while he's hooking, although the best shot that Garcia throws is that straight left hand.
Garcia just threw a beautiful right hook as well that landed, so he has fired back and got some scoring shots back on Avelar.
And that hurt Avelar too. That was a great shot he threw. It slowed Avelar down.
Still looking at a 10-8 round, though, for Avelar with the knockdown. Another counter by Garcia, as he seems to have his head clear after being dropped. So already good action here in the first round. And again, if you look at Avelar and you think, oh, he's lost 3 out of the last 4, as Joe mentioned. But if you're watching him fight, you know this is a real professional. He's tight with his defense. He might not be a top 10 fighter, but he's still young, learning, and has a lot of spirit. Good right hook then by Avelar, and follows up with a left hand.
And Avelar has to be careful when he's coming in with that head.
Yep.
You know, both of them are coming in, and they might hit heads, so they have to be careful with that.
Vicious exchanges here in the last minute of this first round after the knockdown for Isaac Avelar. So Avelar comes in, again, he's B-side as we mentioned, but making himself A-side there with that right hand, dropping the undefeated Hector Luis Garcia. We've got a knockdown already in our first round. There is Isaac Avelar, success in the first round. Dropped Hector Luis Garcia, the undefeated fighter from Santo Domingo, in the first round. But Lennox, I thought Garcia, I mean, if you're going to go down, I thought he responded well in firing back.
Yeah, he responded well. You know, sometimes in the first round, people get caught, and I call it a wake-up shot, and he definitely got woken up with that shot.
And again,
Second round scheduled for 8. Go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say 2 southpaws, but that hook comes from the other side that these southpaws expect. And the other thing is Garcia made the mistake that Avelar made in his last fight, which was dropping that left hand. That's why he got hit with that hook. Now, last thing,
Avelar digs to the body and then fires back, and a good counter there by Garcia.
Last thing, Brian, the corner for Avelar was really encouraging him to put the pressure on. He's not doing it right now. They told him to go after Garcia, but he's backing up right now and got hit with a good left hand.
Yeah, he's got to watch out when he throws that right to the body. You know, Hector is going to come over with that left hand and catch him, so he's got to be careful with that.
Garcia calmly moving in, but vicious combinations. Rifling those shots to the body of Avelar, and has Avelar trapped on the ropes. Good comeback round here for Garcia. Lennox, you don't know. It's the first time he's dropped in his career. It's got to be a bad feeling in the first round. He kind of stunned, kind of embarrassed. He bounced back nicely.
Yes, he did.
Good body shots again by Garcia. Really goes to the body well.
Yeah, it's a situation where, you know, you get knocked down in the first round, you feel like, oh, that guy won the round, so the next round you got to win.
That's a good point. Yes, he got landed 19-6, and he's rocked. Avelar is hurt. Trying to survive.
Yeah, he got hit with a good short left hand right on the ropes there.
And he's still hurt. He did the right thing by holding on, and now he's doing the right thing by moving away.
Avelar trying to get out now. He looks bloodied up, and then you saw Charlie Fitch broke them up. Actually, a veteran move by Avelar, just trying to survive, clutching. You see how much he's getting outlanded, 19-5 in this second round, and there's still a minute plus to go.
Yeah, Garcia, like I said earlier, it's that left hand. He landed a nice little left uppercut as Avelar jumped in. But that left hand of his is really good. He's got a good hook. It's a left hand that's the real equalizer.
Garcia firing off smooth combinations ever since he got dropped, and has had an outstanding second round.
And you know what I like about him? After he throws that left hand, he throws that right hand as a clean-up hook.
You're right, Lennox. He kind of finishes up a lot with that, right? He'll just throw a jab, like, here, take this along the way. Final 30 seconds of the second round. And Garcia, if he wanted to be tested, he sure is. As he looks to step up. He's 30 years old. He's 13-0, undefeated fighter. You think he's a guy on the rise, but he's 30. Time to make some moves.
And, you know, Garcia usually is the one that's usually putting on the pressure. Now it's the other way around.
Shot there, hook. Now Avelar firing shots, and they begin to exchange in the final seconds again. Good spirited scrap here through 2. Back in Minnesota, again, Hector Luis Garcia, Isaac Avelar. Just want to take you back through the first round if you missed it or didn't. That's a beautiful counter hook by Isaac Avelar, and he gets the knockdown in the first round. But the second round, Joe Goosen, is all Garcia.
Yeah, that was that short left hand that Garcia landed. And then, like, he's been hurting Isaac Avelar with just about everything he's hitting him with right now. He's got him softened up from a lot of big blows. And if Avelar can get out of this round here, he might be okay. But right now, the momentum is certainly going with Garcia.
Round number 3, scheduled for 8. Brian Kenny, Lennox Lewis, and Joe Goosen. Heidi Androl with us, Larry Hazard as well. There were moments in that round, fellas, where I thought, oh, Avelar is on his way out. Like, there seems to be a skill difference here, and it's in favor of Garcia. I give him credit for rallying in that final 30 seconds.
Well, Garcia is basically waiting for Avelar to come in because he realized Avelar giving him a little pressure, so he's just waiting for him so he can land that straight left and do the cleanup hook with his right hand.
Yeah, he certainly is looking to counterpunch. You're exactly right. But right now, look, the referee and the team took a close look at Avelar in the corner in between rounds here, so they know he's absorbed some punishment. If he can get out of this round, like I said, it's an 8-round fight. He might be able to get back in this fight. But right now, Garcia's looking really sharp, and he looks like he's got control of this round and the fight so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice sharp jab there by
See,
Garcia.
Avelar should feint a little bit more before he comes in, because when he's making his move to come in, Garcia can see it. And it looks like Garcia is just...
He's a little too predictable in what he's doing.
Yes.
Opening up there with a body shot. Avelar able to drive Garcia back, and now has Garcia up on the ropes, but a good hard shot returned by Garcia.
Oh, left hand. Garcia's really starting to land flush.
Good crisp shot, long shot too, you're right, Joe, by Garcia. Well, Joe, this is the magic of matchmaking, right? You've been in a lot of capacities in the corner and managing and kind of leading a fighter, but if you're a fighter like Garcia, you don't want to fight a nobody, a no-skill guy. You'd like to be tested a little bit while not being overwhelmed, and Avelar seems to be a good opponent for that.
Look, he gives everyone a good fight, Avelar does. And again, the advantage goes to a southpaw, and they threw a southpaw in with Garcia here at Avelar, and a good one, like you said. So the difficulty quotient goes up a little bit, as we observed in the first round by Garcia getting knocked down. That probably wouldn't have happened against a right-hander. But he's got him figured. Garcia's got Avelar figured out now. Plus, like you said, he's 30 years old. He doesn't have time to mess around with C and D fighters. He needs A and B fighters right now to make his name for himself and get himself on the map. He's 30.
Hard three-punch combination. Good points, Joe, by Garcia as he moves back and moves a Canelito in retreat. It's Avelar with the red hair, somewhat like Canelo. Canelito, though, having a rough go here through 3. Yeah, we know Canelo Alvarez is the true champion of the world at 168, especially after that win over Caleb Plant. He's got all the belts, but Morrell, Joe Goosen, your thoughts? Morrell versus Canelo. If you had Morrell, would you wait, or if you had an opportunity to face the big guy, would you do it?
I would probably wait, give him a little bit more experience, because if you're going to go up against Canelo, you're going to obviously go up against probably the #1 fighter in the world today in any division. So, Morrell, as good as he is, you still want to give him more than 5 fights before you take on a guy like Canelo. I'd say, eventually get somebody in the top 10, test the waters there, and then go for the big fish, 3-4 fights from now.
Makes sense. But again, the fact that we can even talk about it says something. Morrell, again, highly skilled, and with heavy hands as well. And that's later tonight. It could be tested by Alantez Fox. Round 4 right here again. Hector Luis Garcia, Isaac Avelar. Go ahead, Joe, you going to say?
No, I was just going to say there are those special guys that can win titles in under 10 fights. Morrell's one of those type of guys. Lomachenko was a guy like that. If you want to go back, there was a few other guys that have won titles, in under 10 fights. But Morrell is definitely one of those guys because of the amateur experience he had. He had, a couple hundred amateur fights and excelled at that. Maybe a few losses. He's beaten all the top amateurs in the world. So again, he's got a leg up on a lot of guys right now.
Garcia really looking good.
There by Garcia.
Garcia really looking good in this round.
Garcia's looked good since getting dropped in the first round as well. Again, he's got a total package, able to be a lot calmer in there and able to throw a lot more feints. Lennox, you were saying that Avelar could use a few more feints. Certainly, Garcia has that in his repertoire.
Absolutely, he's very patient. He's throwing the right combinations, and he's also blocking and coming back with punches.
Moves forward now. tries to fire that right hook that dropped Garcia in the first round. Joe, you mentioned Lomachenko, who looked terrific in his return a few weeks back. Artur Beterbiev was another guy, and he came back with a knockout win last night over Marcus Brown that was, while bleeding from the forehead badly throughout that entire fight. But you're right, those are fellas who have 300 to 400 amateur fights. Morrell didn't have that, but he was a Cuban champ, he was a world champ, and looks like Avelar's hurt again.
Yeah, you know what happened, right? Avelar got stuck with a left uppercut right into the breadbasket, which before the momentum of Garcia started pouring on the combinations, but that's what started. He got hurt with a body shot right at the beginning of that series of punches, and then Garcia followed up with some good hard shots to the head.
And you can see Garcia's looking to land that left hand, that straight left or the straight right to the breadbasket.
Final 10 seconds, round number 4. For those of you watching on FS2, make sure to click over to FS1 for the continuation of tonight's fight action. We are just underway, first of 3 fights here in Minnesota.
All right, here we go. There's Avelar reaching in, almost got clipped with a counter hook, and then landed that good step left jab, right jab.
And you see Garcia throwing that right and left punch to Avelar's chin.
And Hector Luis Garcia, again, 13-0, 10 knockouts. He was an Olympian for the Dominican Republic in 2016. So he's got a nice amateur pedigree, good background. You can see kind of a classy fighter. Coming in here, round number 5, scheduled for 8. But had to weather that knockdown in the first round before coming back here. But has since getting knocked down, outlanded Avelar 63-26. If you're just joining us, we welcome you to Minnesota on FS1 as we make the switch over. Brian Kenny with Lennox Lewis, Joe Goose and Heidi Androl and Larry Hazard in the ring right now. And furious action, Isaac Avelar in the white trunks firing back against Hector Luis Garcia in the black. And let's listen in.
He just had his mouthpiece knocked out a few seconds earlier, that's all. And the referee is taking it over to the corner and having it cleaned off, and he's going to reinsert it, and here we go.
Round number 1, it was Isaac Avelar with the surprise knockdown off a right hook. Garcia, the undefeated fighter, went down. Take a look at the replay to see the mouthpiece being dislodged. Good, crisp, long left hand by Garcia.
And Avelar has a good chin. You know, to get hit in the mouth, and your mouth guard goes in, didn't affect him at all.
No, you're right, Lennox. He's absorbed some hard shots, and there's another one, long left hand. I think you mentioned that earlier, Joe, that left hand has extra length on it.
Yeah.
Is there a way, does he step in better with it or something, or does he just have that reach advantage?
Some guys just grow up with a better punch than with one hand or the other. Some guys can punch the same with both hands. But as I watched tape on Garcia, I said, okay, this guy probably got a lot of his knockouts with that straight left hand, because he's got 10 knockouts in his 13 wins. So that's a high percentage of knockouts. And, right here, I mean, Avelar is absorbing that left hand, but you got to ask, how much longer can he take those type of shots? Like that one right there.
Another one kind of spins the head around on Avelar, but he absorbs it just the same. A little beaten up now, though, in round number 5. Again, he has the knockdown, so he's probably in this fight with a 10-8 round. But I don't think he's won a round since then.
No, he's had his moments in a few rounds since then, but you're right, he has not won a round against Garcia. And I got to tell you, just a little hat tip to the corners. You got Bob Santos and Ishmael Salas in Garcia's corner, 2 great guys that have been around the game forever. And Paul Casamire, like I said earlier, the former champion, in Isaac Avelar's corner.
Final seconds here in round number 5. And again, for those of you watching on FS2, you're still with us there. jump over to FS1 if you want to watch the rest of this fight. Again, we've got 3 here, 3 more on Fox. Stay with us. Welcome back to Minnesota, everybody. Hector Luis Garcia and Isaac Avelar. And we'll go back to round 1. If you're just joining us on FS1, there's that right hook from Isaac Avelar in the white trunks. Beautiful short shot, dropping Hector Luis Garcia. But right after that, it was all Garcia. Even in the later stages of that first round, and then from round 2 on, it was all Garcia. And we believe that he is winning virtually every round, but did lose that first round. We'll see if Avelar can hang in. Underway here, round number 6. Once again, Brian Kenny with Lennox Lewis, Joe Goose, Heidi Angel, and Larry Hazard. Larry, how do you have it scored so far?
Hey, Brian, after 5 rounds, I have Garcia comfortably ahead, 48-46. He's won every round since that first wake-up round in round 1. I even came close to giving him a 10-8 round in round 2. You know, most of the time, judges only score 10-8 when there's a knockdown, but in an overwhelming round, you can give a fighter a 10-8 round in an overwhelming round, which I think Garcia was in round 2. So I have him comfortably ahead right now, 48-46, 4 rounds to 1.
That's a good point, Larry, and I hadn't even thought of that. That was, and I'd mentioned, it was all Garcia in round 2. Not that Avelar was, you know, dropped around and was you know, woozy or anything like that, but it was a dominant round. Joe, I think judges these days are very loath to do that, but it might be an interesting way to open up scoring in fights. If you say, hey, that was dominated, we can make it 10-8. It's interesting.
Professor Larry Hazard has it right again. Because if you get a 10-9 round, a win on just a regular performance without really doing anything except winning the round, what should you get when you really batter a guy from pillar to post?
Right.
Should it be a 10-9 round as well, or a 10-8? I agree with Professor Hazard for sure.
And there many times there, we've kind of gotten used to it too. Even though Garcia responded well after getting knocked down, I took it for granted, and because judges normally, once one fighter has been dropped, it's 10-8 no matter what. You'd have to really rock the other guy to even spin it back and to make it 10-9. Just the way it's happened over the last 2 decades.
Absolutely.
Good hard body shot there by Garcia. Now moving in. Joe, give me your quick scouting report on Garcia. Given that he seems to be a prospect on the move, what do you expect from him?
Well, look, I think he's very athletic. I think he's sharp puncher. He's got a nice knockout left hand. I think he's accurate. He's 30 years old, so he's got to get a move on right now. And he's probably got a few more defensive things to learn if he fights a southpaw again, because that, you know, he's never been dropped before. That punch dropped him from a southpaw stance. So, you know, there are a few more things to learn, and if he fights better fighters, it can only make him better. So, but he's up there. He's up there. He could be in world-class territory very soon.
Avatar needs to keep on moving that head because, Garcia is looking to land that straight left. So he's got to keep moving that head.
Yeah, Lennox, he's been headhunting here in this last 30 seconds, and he hasn't had to go to the body. Garcia having his way as he hammers Avelar back into the corner to finish that round.
And then
Hector Luis Garcia is 13-0, and he has looked sharp here in these last few rounds. Lennox, I asked Joe the scouting report on Garcia. What do you see? What do you like? What do you not like about Garcia as he moves forward?
Well, I like how he adjusted, especially after he got knocked down, and did the things that he was supposed to do. What he did was actually let Avatar come at him, and he was able to counterpunch with some good straight left hands and some right hooks.
So there's some vicious exchanges in this fight. Avelar tries to will himself back into this fight. Garcia is just a little too smooth, a little too long, and sophisticated in his attack and his creating space.
Ooh, nice double hook by Avelar. But I got to tell you, Bri, at the end of the last round, the 6th round, Avelar really sucked up like 3 or 4 straight left hands from Garcia. I'm surprised he's still as active as he is right now. But I know he got a lot of encouragement in the corner from Casamayor, telling him to get back on the horse and try to win this fight. But he needs a knockout. I mean, if he's going to win this fight, he needs a knockout, and that doesn't look very likely.
Yeah, you know, Joe, he's a rugged kid, right?
Yeah.
And he's got a good jaw, as Lennox explained earlier. So it's part natural, and the rest is will. He's a tough, strong kid. He's nominally outclassed in this fight. It's not that wide, but it's wide enough.
Right.
But it's taking an awful lot for him to kind of just stay in this fight. It takes a lot of energy just to start winning some exchanges.
Energy, heart, willpower, conditioning, all of the above. You're right, Brian.
Time halfway through here, round number 7. I'm just intrigued. I know we don't have time to get into it. I'm intrigued by what Larry Hazard said, and if in the future, as we're looking at fights, it'd be nice to talk about. There are some parameters within the 10-9 scoring system where there's some wiggle room. You guys know what I'm saying? Where we don't have to blindly do what we just have been doing, including judges scoring even rounds, which is rarely done these days, and using a 10-8 allowed. Boy, Garcia really opening it up and making more of a 10-8 case here as well. Beautiful work.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, a little left there. The thing is, if it isn't applied, if that isn't applied well and judiciously, again, you could probably run into a few problems. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Larry. Can we give Larry's mic, or can we open that up so he could explain that? Larry?
Good counter shots there by Avelar. We'll get to Larry in the next round if we can.
Okay.
In the final seconds here, but that's a beautiful shot. This is a tremendous round by Garcia. I agree with what you're saying, Joe. We'd have to all agree on a new system. We'll try to cure even more things when we come back here next. And back here in Minnesota, Hector Luis Garcia has looked terrific tonight after getting dropped in round number 1 by rugged Isaac Avelar. And Brian Kenny, Joe Goosen, Lennox Lewis, Larry Hazard, Heidi Androl with us as well. And I knew I was opening up a can of worms, but Larry, Joe was throwing it to you before because we were discussing it. Is there a way of saying, hey, that round was close, that's really 10-10, no one won that round, hey, that round was a little wider, there was no knockdown, make it 10-8? Could it work, or would it make things worse?
No, it could work if commissions encourage their judges to use more than the... Hey, look, the way it is right now, we have a fake 10-point must system because we never go beyond 10-7. So we may as well call it a 3-point must system. And Joe Goosen, he understands, one of the greatest trainers in boxing. It's not fair to a fighter only because he couldn't score a knockdown, but he was so overwhelming in a round for the round to still be 10-9 when a close round is 10-9.
Right, exactly.
We have to be able to differentiate between the numbers are supposed to paint a picture of what's going on in the ring. So we got 10 numbers to do that.
Right, but we don't use them all. That's
We don't use it. We only use 3.
Right.
So call it a 3-point must system.
Right.
Right now we got
Final
a fake.
round, by the way, round 8. Yeah.
We got a fake 10-point
right.
must system. That's what we had.
We've all fallen into that rhythm. That's good stuff. I'm glad we got into it, just briefly there. Just something to think about for you fight fans, hardcore fans out there. Final round. This is the 8th round. Hector Luis Garcia looking to stay unbeaten. And he's been very impressive, again, since getting dropped. But, many times we go to the scorecards and we just kind of blindly say, wait, how could you have it this way? How could you have it that way? When oftentimes rounds are razor close and you just have to pick a winner of each round, and it leads to some discrepancies. Anyway, this is how we officiate and judge the sport. It's worth a discussion now and then.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I would love to see a 10-7 round. You never see that.
Unless it's a Pacquiao fight and he drops a guy 5 times, right? That's usually you see those. That's the only time I can think about it. When Pacquiao's dropping a guy 3 times, you get 10-7.
Yeah, it usually takes 2 or 3 knockdowns. You're exactly right to get a 10-7. In the meantime, Avelar has been able to survive some hellacious and horrendous left hands and hooks from Garcia, and I got to give him credit for being in the condition and good shape to last this long, because it certainly hasn't gone his way since the first round.
Let me tell you, he's received a lot of great punches, and it really didn't affect him too much. He's used to going forward, and now he has to kind of take a couple steps back because he got hit. and he has to recover from those shots before he could come forward. But he's doing a good job. He's showing a lot of heart and determination.
It's all over now.
Hector Luis Garcia with beautiful work, getting past a rugged opponent in Avelar. Look, that's exactly what we said at the start. We know he's lost a bunch of fights, 3 of the last 4 coming in. This is a tough guy. He's still a tough guy. Not going to get a W here tonight. And there's Hector Luis Garcia. Bigger and brighter things ahead for that man at the age of 30. We'll come back and get the official decision when we come back. A spirited clash here to open things up on FS1 and FS2. Hector Luis Garcia and Isaac Avelar, where it was Joe Goosen, a bit of a surprise in round 1, and there's a knockdown for Avelar.
Yeah, listen, it was, Avelar's a good puncher and a tough guy, and he just caught Garcia by surprise early, and it never even came close to happening again.
Yeah, from there, Garcia went to work, and you see the shots knocking the mouthpiece out, fighting with a lot of poise, understanding the distance, Lennox. He just looked very calm in there and measured his man and able to land at will.
Well, for the first time being knocked down in his fights, he really adjusted well. He came back well, and he was very poised, and he was smart. He's very smart. He's a thinking boxer in there because he realized that Avelar came at him, and he had to take a step back. Sometimes you have to take a step back in these fights.
No question. You see the punches wide in favor of Hector Luis Garcia, 159 to 77. Let's get the decision and go to Miguel Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 judges are in agreement, 78 to 73, for your winner by unanimous decision. And still undefeated, El Droide, Hector Luis Garcia.
Bigger things ahead. What do you think, Joe? Lennox for Garcia?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a future. There's definitely a future behind Garcia. He's a good fighter, strong, and he's got a lot of guts, so I see a good future for him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Not much more to be said than that. He needs to step up in competition and prove his worth.
Good night for Garcia tonight. Goes to 14-0. Still has 10 knockouts. Avelar again showed his toughness in the ring as he continues to get a steady diet of world-class competition. Again, you see a beautiful left hand from Garcia. He'll be able to make a lot of hay in this weight class.